State jurisdiction reflects to the international law's general principles of sovereignty, equality of states, and non-interference in other countries' domestic affairs, which means that the local court has the power to exercise authority over all persons and things within its boundaries. However, there must be a link between the individual, the offense, and the court exercising jurisdiction over the person while it's primarily territorial. Jurisdiction of states can be based on national security grounds and citizenship of parties. Let's have a look on the first base of jurisdiction.
The first base of jurisdiction is the territorial principle, and it means that the local court power is geographically restricted within its state borders, and however, if the offense may take place in more than one country, this will be divided into two categories, which are the subjective and the objective principle. Subjective principle is exercised by a state in which the offense was started, and an objective principle by a state in which the offense was completed, like for example a money laundry or a fraud that can be started in online by someone that is based in India against the victim that is living in Brazil, or an offense on the borders of the two countries, like the shooting that starts in Russia that kills someone in China. However, the state power is not absolute, as certain persons like foreign diplomats are protected by the local court's jurisdiction.
The nationality of the parties as the second ground for jurisdiction is a state court can expand its power beyond its territory, regardless where the person is located, subject that the criminal or a victim is a national of the claimant country.
Hi everyone, let me tell you a story about a notorious bigamy case as an example of nationality principle. In Britain in 1901, the bigamy case was that involving Earl Russell, a noble, who was convicted of bigamy case even though his second marriage took place outside of his home country in the United Kingdom. Russell had divorced his wife and married Millie Cook in the United States the previous year, but British courts would not accept the validity of his divorce as he was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment in Holloway Prison. Despite petitions for his release, he served his time in prison. In the majority of the cases that the state will decide to take no action whether the matter has been fully dealt by the state in whose territory the events occurred. Nationality jurisdiction is rarely relied on in practice. However, it is useful in resolving issues of jurisdiction in places beyond territorial jurisdiction of any states, such as in the high seas where jurisdiction is determined by the country of registration of the vessel.
This case is Mayhoff versus the Director of Prisons, GR number L4254. Related law is customary international law. Facts of the case. Mayhoff was a Russian who was arrested as a Japanese spy. When he is about to be released, the deportation board discovered that he entered the Philippines without travel documents, and that was illegal. He was detained in Cebu and waiting for a Russian vessel to take him home, but their superiors refused to accept the petitioner. He was moved to Bilibid prisons for a temporary detention. There is no time limit for a temporary detention during this period. He filed a new habeas corpus petition after more than 2 years of solitary confinement. Issues related to customary international law. Whether or may not Mayhoff was entitled to habeas corpus. Ruling the Supreme Court. According to SC, yes, Mayhoff did not illegally enter the Philippines because he was brought as a spy, emphasizing the Article 2, Section 3 of the Philippines Constitution, stating that the Philippines should adopt the generally accepted principles of international law as a part of law of nation. The court decided based on Universal Declaration of Human Rights, saying that the rights of life, and liberty and all other fundamental rights are applied to all human beings are proclaimed. Mayhoff was ordered to be released provided that he would comply with the conditions.
The third ground is the security or protective principle. In this principle, it allows the state to exercise jurisdiction over foreigners outside of its territory, regardless of its citizenship, whenever there is a threat to its national security. An example of this principle is the case of Lord Howe Howe. Lord Howe Howe is an American citizen who broadcast messages from Germany saying to persuade the Allies to surrender. Until 1940, he held a British passport. After the war, he was convicted of high treason in the United Kingdom. So to know more about the full story of Lord Howe Howe, you can search it up online. So that's it for the example of the protective principle, and I hope you understand what is protective principle. Thank you.
And lastly, the universality jurisdiction allow any state to punish certain international offenses abroad without condition, like piracy. Piracy is an act of robbery which is committed in the sea or air outside the normal jurisdiction of any state. Slavery is a condition in which one human being was owned by another. Torture is a deliberate infliction of severe pain or suffering on a person. Crimes against humanity. It is a certain act committed in the context of a large-scale attack targeting civilians regardless of their nationality. And lastly, the genocide. Genocide, it is one of the greatest crimes under international law called the crime of crimes.
Adolf Eichmann was a high-ranking Nazi German official and war criminal. During the Holocaust, he played a central role in the implementation of the final solution. It referred to the mass murder of Europe's Jews. Eichmann organized the deportation of more than 1.5 million Jews from all over Europe to ghettos, killing centers, and killing sites in German-occupied Poland and parts of the occupied Soviet Union. And under the war crime of the universality principle, he is subject for trial. Initially, the United States declared Eichmann's arrest, but Eichmann escaped to Argentina, which later on was captured by Israel. The bounds for Eichmann's trial on Israel was the 1950 Nazi and Nazi collaborators punishment law, amongst other things. This law allowed Israel courts to punish Nazi perpetrators for crimes against Jews during the World War II. On December 11 and 12, 1961, Eichmann was convicted for the crimes he did against the Jewish people, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and membership in a criminal organization. He was sentenced to death on December 15 that year. And on June 1, 1962, Eichmann was executed by